Blah, 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 blah. What is that? Hold on one second. I want to change this setting. Layout. There we go. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. It's Sunday, and that means it's time for our Collectors Podcast. As always, you can subscribe to the channel right here on YouTube. Please like this video, and do not comment below unless you have something nasty to say about Charles's mustache that he used to have. I don't know. Just comment, say something, let us know that you like the episode. We're going to bring the boys in here in a second. We have a fun topic tonight. John is under the weather. He's not going to be joining us, but Christopher is.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. The mustachioed... Oh, no, he does not have a mustache.
Thankies!
That's at the end of the show, not at the beginning of the show.
Oh.
Correct. Brandon is here from the northwest, we determined. Is that right?
Northwest. Buenas noches.
No, they don't speak Spanish like that in Canada. You're in the northwest.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I don't know how to say good evening in Canadian.
I'm pretty sure it's English, but you could figure out the accent later.
French Canadian?
That's the northeast.
Oh, whatever.
Thankies.
You gotta talk like
Bon appetit. There you go.
you gotta talk like Zen with that accent.
He's Greek.
Yeah, but he's Greek Canadian. Canadian Greek. Yeah. All right, let's jump into the topic. Charles, would you like to introduce it?
So the topic is the beliefs on maybe buying or selling stolen merchandise. So
What?
I'm not saying you exactly know that it is stolen. I'm just saying if someone's going to sell you something that's like is worth $1,000 and they're selling it to you for $100, like there's no way they got this thing for $100. Would you buy it? Or another situation, you buy something, right, for like 1/5 of the price, and you find out it's stolen. What do you do with that item now? Do you let the seller, let the person know who used to own it? Hey, I just picked this up from Facebook Marketplace. I paid $100 for it, and it's worth like $1,000. I'll just say. Are you going to message that owner and say, "Here, I just got your item," or do you just keep it? Or you sell it for what it is, and you just keep on moving it down the line.
What do you mean? You message what owner? What are you talking about?
Just say someone like made a post and say, "Hey, if anyone sees a CAS 90 braided like mock, it was stolen from the toy show in Ohio."
Oh, you're painting a whole different storyline now.
Yeah.
Okay,
and you have that at your house, and you're like, "Holy crap! I have that, but I bought it off Facebook Marketplace." Are you going to message that guy and say, "Hey, I have it"? Are you not going to say anything? Like, what do you do?
Okay, now I understand.
If you remember, 2 years ago, Jeff Jacobs sent in like $50,000 worth of Lily Letty figures to AFA, and basically the whole package got stolen.
Yeah.
So he sent out like a memo saying, "Hey, if anyone sees these pieces, please let me know because they're mine and they were stolen."
Yeah. Did anything ever come of that? I do remember that story.
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I think the people who ran into it just moved it into their collection, and they're just not saying anything.
Well,
if someone offers me a piece that's worth $1,000 and they say, "Hey, I want $100," and I don't know anything about it, I'm buying it in 3 seconds.
Of course. So how about if the person said, "Hey, listen, don't ask me where I got this from. it's worth $1,000. I just want $100. Would you buy it?
Yes. If I don't know who the person is where it came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know where the hell it came from. Then again, if I did buy it, and then I ended up finding out that it was from Joe Schmo from this Facebook group, lost this, I would contact him and say, hey, just letting you know, I did find your piece and I bought it for $100. Obviously, I would like to get my $100 back. But
that's all you want for it?
Yeah, I would want the original purchase price that I paid for it. Yeah, of course.
How do you know that they actually own that piece, though?
I mean, if he's making posts about it weeks before and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you first asked that, well, either of the questions, but when you first asked the question about what would you do in a case of stolen collectibles or toys, I immediately pictured modern toys, because a packaged, toy where there's, thousands of them right now is a lot easier to sell at a discount and just sell it quickly. If it's a vintage toy, you've got to find, you've got to find the right buyer. It's not just a toy that might go to a kid or might go to one of a bazillion people. Not everybody cares about the vintage toys. But then also, as I listen to this other storyline, I have a hard time believing that anybody would get a hold of stolen vintage toys, find out what they're worth, and sell it at 10%. Like, I do not picture that happening. Because let's say it's worth $1,000. Well, why would they not sell it for $750? Why would they not sell it for $850?
I think some people just want a quick flip just to get rid of it, so they're not caught with it. And with that kind of stuff.
But 10%, that raises a huge flag. I feel like they probably wouldn't do that.
Some of these people don't even know what it's. If you steal a backpack from somebody's car and it had a bunch of. So I know a guy. Well, I don't know this guy personally, but the guy was in England, was visiting a friend. He put a poster tube in the friend's car, and the car got stolen. Well, the poster was in the car, and it was a poster tube full of 3 vintage posters from Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, full of autographs.
Oof.
You're talking $10K at least a piece. So that's $30,000 worth of posters that just went off. If I found those on eBay or a marketplace, I would have I'd buy them immediately if they were a great price, obviously. But then if I see the post of this guy saying he lost his shit, I'd feel bad and give it back, try to get it back to that. You got to think of it. That's a huge loss for that guy. That's years and years and years of trying to get those autographs
of work. Yeah.
Work. So I'd definitely try to get it back to the person or whatever, but I don't know. I have a feeling sometimes stuff like that will be sold at a fraction of the price just to get rid of it.
That I can understand a little bit more than,
if someone has something, they want to list it on say Facebook Marketplace. They don't want it sitting around for a week where everyone's talking and saying, hey, this is on Facebook Marketplace. You want to pick it up? They want to just have it off of Marketplace. So they put it on, off.
Yeah.
Here's another scenario, Shane.
Yeah.
And this is actually a true story with no names. A known guy works at a very well-known toy store selling toys through PM Messenger at 1/10 the price.
Oh, he's just an employee there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And selling toys 1/10 the price. Are you not buying them? Or are you going to buy them? You don't know. He's not coming straight out and saying, "Hey, I'm doing this." He's just offering up these items, but only through private messenger.
Yeah.
Not publicly.
I'm going to jump on Chris because I don't know who he's talking about. It's probably the same person I think I'm talking about, but this person used to message me. I knew nothing about him. I didn't know if they worked at a store or they worked in an oil rig. I had no idea. He would just message me with this lot of vintage figures, and it was whatever. I want $2,000 for all this. Or there's a brown snake Yoda on a mock, $100. And I'm like, yeah. I just thought he was stupid about the price or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after like we were done and he stopped like selling to me, he probably moved to somebody else. I found out he works at a toy store. I mean, I had no idea. I wasn't like, like friends with him on Facebook. Like he would never Facebook friend me. So I knew nothing about this person. That the same one you're talking about, Chris?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I knew like nothing about this guy. I would just snap a photo and I would show Chris and I'd be like, look, he wants to sell me like, he sold me something pretty substantial where I sent the guy like $4,000 something for one item. No idea where the hell he got it from. Like he told me some story, but I had no idea he worked at a toy store. Like nothing.
Yeah, no one knew. Yeah. It's just that when you looked at a profile picture, and then when you see a YouTube video of a certain store being done, then you just put two and two together, and it's like, all right, it's the same exact guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, people are a lot smarter these days. Social media is everywhere. If somebody steals something and they put it on Facebook Marketplace, they're asking for it because obviously there's a lot of people that monitor that. If they put it on eBay, it's easy to track who these people are. I think one of those mocks that Chris was talking about, it might have been a different story, but one of the things turned up in like Japan or something on an eBay, somebody's eBay account from Japan, I think.
eBay.jp.
I can't remember what it was.
You're talking about the Jeff Jacobs stuff?
I think it was either that or somebody else's stuff, and they're like,
out of the Jeff Jacobs lot, like a couple of the items did turn up, but like it was from a guy that no one knew who he was in another country.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
So the last thing it was like they were trying to get a hold of who this person was, how did it get to this other country, because no one knew who this guy was. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that reeks of other things going on behind the scenes that people knew what it was and how it ended up somewhere else. Who knows?
I have an answer for Charles's question as well, and this might, I don't know, this answer might shock you guys, or you might totally understand where I'm coming from. It's not the greatest, it's not the answer I would love to give, but I think my answer would be if somebody offered me stuff and I knew where it was coming from, like generally, I think I would have a different answer. Like, in other words, if the guy messages me and he's stealing this stuff from a mom and pop toy store or a one-off toy store, or even if it's a big toy store, but it's a business owned by, probably 2 or 3 people, and they're trying to pay the bills and keep this toy store open, which we know how hard that is these days. I don't want any part of that. And I hate to say that, if it was not that, I'd be all in. I'm not sure I'm saying that either, but if somebody's stealing a box of Hasbro figures from Target or something, it doesn't hit me the same as somebody stealing things from the inventory of a small toy store that's trying to stay alive.
But now
you're still stealing.
Now you're
right.
Now you're kind of changing the script though, because you're adding on a lot more detail than what me and Charles are saying.
Right.
A guy is just messaging you saying, "Hey, I'm selling this." He doesn't say anything. You're adding in all these specifics now. Obviously, the answer for all of us would probably be we're not buying it.
Yeah.
So Shane, I have something that happened to me that is exactly along the lines that you're talking about. I'm at the flea market. I'm helping this friend of mine sell toys, and he's got all these vintage toys, and his buddy, who was also selling toys, had a bunch of modern stuff, and he had a bunch of the Mutant Mayhem figures, the Ninja Turtle figures that my son collects.
Yeah.
So, and he had like the party, or not the party wagon. He had like the 6-pack of figures that was going for like $47 at Target. This guy had them and asked him how much he wanted for them. He's like $30, and I'm like, "Oh, that's not too bad." And then I walked away later on there today. I kept looking at it. He's like, "Hey man, for you, I'll do $20 on it." So I go and I talk to my buddy, and then after that, he sold it to somebody else. I didn't really think about it. And I walk up to my buddy. I'm like, "How does this guy get this Ninja Turtles so cheap? They came out not too long ago." And I didn't put 2 and 2 together because everybody else out there sells all these Ninja Turtles and all these new movie type stuff, Transformers, like all this cheap stuff. And I was just like, "Oh, maybe this guy just got it as a gift and he's just trying to get rid of it for $20 or whatever." And he goes, No, he's got a guy that steals all this stuff for him from Target. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, well, then after that, I was like, well, then I don't feel bad about missing out on a $20 thing from Ninja Turtles. I was like, it's just not worth it. Especially if I give that to my son and it's like stolen figures. It's like, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And it's no matter who it came from, it's still stolen that I don't want to get caught up in that mess.
Here's another story.
Charles is going to jump on me from somewhere in a sting operation.
He would write you 7 tickets so fast.
There comes Charles jumping out of the hood of the car like, I got you.
Here's another scenario. Your TV breaks at home or an appliance. Everybody has a friend that works at Best Buy or PC Richards. Everybody, right? Everybody. Now he tells you, hey, come to the store. I'm going to give you a floor model that's been used, and we're going to sell it out the back door. None of that's true. Meanwhile, it's brand new in the box.
Yeah.
Are you not buying it? Because your TV at home is broken. So you need a TV.
Yeah. Are
you not buying the used floor model that's been damaged out the back door for half the price? I can tell you right now, I am.
Well, when you said out the back door, I thought you meant pull up your car and I'll put it in the trunk.
I'm going to shock you.
Yeah.
I'm actually not buying it. I'm buying 3 of them.
I was going to say no, I'm not doing that if it literally means pull up and the guy's going to run out with a TV. But if you're saying...
I'm not talking about running anywhere. I'm talking
right,
about,
well, back door,
so they do like a damaged one.
Right.
So like they walk in the back and they rip a box open and they're like, hey, here's an open box. It's like $199 instead of $5.99 because it's used and it's open, but it's not used. They just opened it.
Correct.
Well, I mean, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just bought it. I didn't know that.
So are you guys buying it? Shane and Brandon, let's go.
Correct.
Of course.
Oh, I already have.
So I do that with every single purchase. That's what I'm saying.
So you guys aren't like huge into modern. So I'm huge into like modern, like Lego. Like newer Lego sets. So I search eBay all the time, and there's like a Lego set, like I don't know, it's $49.99. Some people are selling it on there for like $30. I never know how. So I usually like look around for something. So I just pick something up. It's this brand new Crimson Hawk, like from the Young Jedi. It just came out January 1st. It's $49.99 in stores. There is 0 discount. So I hopped on eBay. I saw it for $24.99. So I bought it. I then messaged the guy and I'm like, hey, if you have any more of these, let me know. Like one day later, he's like, hey, I ran into one. It's going to be the same price and I'll combine the shipping. In my head, I don't know where he's getting it from. Like, he
told you he ran into it.
I can imagine where he got it from. Like, it kind of like makes me feel like a little like bad though, like buying it. Like, I just have no idea. Like,
well, you know what comes to mind is you don't want to know where it came from, and that's natural. But it's like, I don't know what that old adage is. There's an adage that kind of goes along with that, like ignorance is bliss. That's it. Like, you don't want to know what you don't want to know. You're just kind of happy being ignorant to the details.
Everyone's doing it though. Like, if a Lego set is $99.99, you're probably, I would say, you're a moron for walking into Walmart and paying $99.99. If you look on eBay, it's on there for $70, for $80. You always save money on eBay. I don't know where these guys are getting them from. They're not on sale, but they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't ask questions if you don't want to know.
Here's the bottom line for me. If something is coming from like a huge brand, a huge name store, a huge corporation, I'm taking it. Like, regardless, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. If it's coming from like a mom and pop store, person that's probably like week to week, month to month paychecks, or a guy that's personal, like a personal collection, I'm not buying it.
Yeah. Those shops have such small margins.
Exactly.
It's not even a matter of like, oh, it's worth what it's worth, and I feel bad. like literally, they're probably making like 15 to 20% at best. Like
Shane,
the margins are so small
with all the overhead that they're carrying on. Also,
oh yeah,
I have this one for you, Shane, because you're so into Leia Bouche. Like I collect, so does Chris, so does Brandon, but like no one collects like you do. So Leia Bouche, right? Original helmet from the Star Wars movie. Yeah, like the original, the one that was in the movie.
Yeah,
a guy messages you because everyone knows you like Leia Bouche. And they're like, hey, I have the original Leia Bouche helmet. It's signed, whatever. Like, you know that's the helmet. I'll sell it to you for $500. No questions asked. I don't want you to tell anyone you have it. Just throw it up in your house, and it's $500. Just please do not ask me where you got it from, and don't ever tell anybody you have it. Would you buy this helmet from the movie?
Yeah,
one of a kind, $500.
I mean, I appreciate you putting the question together because it is a really intriguing question. It's just I don't even know how to answer that. That's a really hard one. But
yes or no?
Do you have the space for that there?
I can answer it. I can answer it.
I'll tell you what this is making me think of real quick. It's making me think of a piece of artwork. Anytime you've ever seen a heist movie where like a Monet is stolen or a Picasso, you know there's only one of them in the world and it's like documented and known. So if you buy it after it's stolen, you can never display it because everybody will know you have it stolen.
This is a typical Shane answer.
Yeah,
I just don't know how you.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
My answer is yes, 100%. Yes.
I would buy it also, and I
think my answer.
I would buy it, and I would ask him if he had any more.
Yeah.
Do you have the helmet of the stunt double girl who was wearing the bikini?
If they were selling Pruneface's eye patch, I would say yes. I'll buy one of both eyes.
I have that, the exact one. It was on my.
So
I would buy it. I would buy it.
Okay, so here's part 2 now. Part 2, you find out some like French guy from like the UK. You have no idea who this. You never heard of him before. He's not on the IC. He's not on Facebook. You have no idea.
French guy from the UK.
Okay.
It was stolen from that guy.
Yeah.
And you watch the news. No one else knows you have this thing. You watch the news. Leia Bouche helmet stolen, and you see the guy's name or whatever.
This is juicy.
What would you do with this helmet? Would you
easy answer
message that guy and say, hey, buddy, no idea who you are. I have your Leia Bouche helmet. Someone sold it to me. Or it's only 2 things: that or don't say a word and keep it in your collection.
Well,
okay, I can answer this.
Before Shane answers that, I have a question for Charles. What do you do since if you know something's, you catch somebody and they have stolen stuff? What do you do and it's not, they have stolen stuff because they bought it. It's the helmet. You go to Shane's house and you see this helmet and you're like, this is stolen.
He would throw me in jail so fast.
What are you supposed to do to Shane? What does the law say that you're supposed to do to Shane?
I'm not going to sway Shane's opinion. I want him to give his answer.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to answer the first part real quick. I said I would buy it. The reason why is I think my reasoning in my head would buy it so that some a-hole who doesn't even care about it or know what it is really has it, so that like somebody who would care for it would have it. So that's my answer. If I found out that so am I able to substantiate that this guy really was the owner? Can we put that in there?
Yeah.
Yes, then I would absolutely work to get it back to him 100%. It's not as much as I would like that. I know in my brain right now, it's not something I need to have. I need to have it and know for the rest of my life that it's stolen and it doesn't belong to me.
Can I give you my answer now?
Yeah.
I would reach out to the guy and say, "Hey, I got this helmet. You paid $500 for it. I paid $1,500 for it. So if you want the helmet back, I paid $1,500 for it. So at least you make $1,000."
The poor guy had his thing stolen, and you're beating him up for $1,000. You jerk.
If this guy has enough money to buy that helmet, which is probably worth $500,000.
I know.
Let's make this more
That's
juicy.
exactly what I'm talking about. Like we're talking about $100,000 probably.
It's the entire Leia Bush. It's her whole outfit with the helmet and her rifle. All movie like movie props. Like that's what she wore. She wore the full outfit. You would still give that full outfit back. Helmet, outfit, rifle, everything.
Oh, I'm wearing that to the ICCC. I'm going to win that cosplay contest in October. I'm wearing that whole thing. You won't even know it's me in there.
Are you giving it back, though?
I think the answer would still be the same. Listen, these are movie props. Like, if it was like some random movie, I mean, this is my favorite movie. If it's the one thing from this movie, it's a real movie prop. Like, to me, that belongs somewhere where it can be shown, like in a museum setting, like a movie, exhibit setting. Yeah, I mean, I would feel the same, whether it was multiple pieces or the helmet or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Let me add one more thing on. I'm sure it's not gonna sway your opinion. What if he says, "Hey, Shane, I own that Leia Hoth, like full outfit, and it's Leia Bush." Like he has no idea what it is. He's calling it like something like different, and it's like not Leia Bush. He's like, "Hey, you have that the Han helmet and the Han outfit. Then would you give it back?" Like he doesn't know who it is.
So I'm able to substantiate it really is his, but then I get all like twisted up in my head because his jackass doesn't even know what he's got.
He has no idea what it is.
Yeah, that's not fun. That's not a fun scenario.
Now would you give it back?
Well,
I'm just trying to
I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that, but
I just want you to say you won't give it back.
But you know what the funny thing is I gave the answer that I believe it belongs in like display somewhere so that people can enjoy it. But the truth is I'm mailing it back to some French guy in UK and nobody's going to ever see it again. So it's bad both ways.
So Charles, what are you supposed to do to Shane if he keeps the item?
Nothing.
You can't do anything to him?
I don't know if it's really stolen. What the hell do I know?
you know because you made up the whole damn thing.
And it ends up in his hands and you know it's stolen.
Shane can't tell anybody though.
But does he get in trouble? Can he get arrested for that?
No one else knows.
If he knows he has stolen merchandise, then yes. If he doesn't know,
well, Shane doesn't know.
Well,
good for Shane is that's in the archives, and
it's
he'll
kind of
never
like
own
in that show.
Yeah, nobody should own that.
Porn stars, they're buying items all the time.
Oh yeah,
a lot of those times those items are stolen. When they find out that they're stolen, they have to give the item back, and they lose their money on what they paid for it.
Yeah.
Wasn't there an episode where they had one of Han's blasters on there? And I believe so. And I was watching that, or unless it was a different show, but I think it was Porn Stars. And I was watching it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's like the one Han blaster." And then the guy revealed that it was, I think, from Empire. Like he had a different prop for each movie. And I was like, "Oh, okay. So there's at least 3 or 5 or 7 of those out there." But it was a real one from the movie, and it was worth $1 gazillion. And I was just like, man, like why does any one person own that and have it in their house?
Well, because some of these things, let me put it in context for you. Anthony Daniels has had his auction on Prop Store not too long ago, and he sold one of his helmets from C-3PO from the ceremony, from the first movie, and it went for $1 million.
Yeah,
and he had multiple pieces.
Really?
Just the helmet, and he had multiple pieces of his
the hell cares about
his suit on for sale on there at auction. So some of these items I think were able to, technically people weren't supposed to be taking these items out of the production studio, but a lot of them did manage to find their way out.
It's owned by the production company. That's why.
So, but you would think, some of these items aren't really worth that. I mean, Stormtrooper helmets go for $100,000 easy.
Well, you make a good point though, Brandon. I wasn't thinking of that as I was spouting, but these movie companies, the production houses, they do gift props to the actors. I mean, they've been doing that for 100 years. So if out of all of the helmets that he's ever worn on screen, they gave him, one from a scene, I totally get it. And if at some point, that pays for his family's whatever, $1 million, I totally understand that. If he's had it for
get older,
he's had it for 40 years. He's like,
there's no need for that for him.
Yeah,
anymore.
I get that. That's fair. That's why those movie props are out in the world. I get it. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. Anything else on toys themselves? In general, please hit us up in the comments. Let us know if you come across, to me, the easiest scenario is modern toys, right? Because you know what the exact price is. It's like a retail price.
Yeah, you kind of know where it came from.
Yeah, I mean, if you see something for half price, are you jumping on that immediately? Do you is one of the first thoughts you have in your head, oh, is this a knockoff? Is this like actually even legitimate? Like this price is so cheap, I've seen cheap prices on some stuff, and sometimes when I've paused in the past, the next thing I know is it's sold. So the decision's taken out of my hands.
Well, my first thought of seeing some of this modern stuff is I think it might be a knockoff, because I know they make knockoff Black Series figures. Mm-hmm. I know the Boba Fett, the original one, the orange line that came out, I know those are heavily faked.
They faked the Anakin figure, the Boba Fett. They also faked the Boba Fett prototype. And then there was another big one. Oh, Darth Maul. Darth Maul is the number one faked one. And it's funny because if you are a Black Series collector, like there's 4 little tiny elements on the box that will tell you. And one of them, the goggles in there, the accessory, will be upside down. And then there's 3 things on the box. It's kind of a cool thing to know if you collect a line, because
that's my first thought when I see some of this modern stuff is, it's probably fake. And then the second thought is, maybe they got it really cheap because nobody wants it because it's Black Series. And then the third thought is, it's stolen.
Yeah. The second thought is nobody wants this crap. No. Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll say is, and I had this thought when you're talking about Legos. Excuse me. Legos. Lego.
How dare you?
The interesting thing about that scenario is that, when you compare it to a regular toy, a Hasbro figure or something, Lego is one of those brands that whenever you see a store coupon, it's down there in the disclaimer, not applicable on Lego, on what's that cooler brand that makes the cups and the coolers?
Yeti.
Like not applicable on Yeti, Lego, and then they have like designer brands and stuff.
Yeah.
So Lego is never on sale. You can never use a coupon.
It's like Apple stuff, never on
sale. Yeah, and you know what the price is. So it's like if it's a $99 Lego set, you don't just wait for it to go down to $50. It's never going down to $50. So there's people out there that collect that would jump at a cheaper price because it's their own chance.
They have that rule in I don't know if it's a law or whatnot, but apparently here in California, you're allowed to steal $1,000 worth of merchandise, and then nobody can do anything about it.
I've heard about, like, you could just walk into like a CVS or a Walmart, load up like $500 worth of stuff, and walk right out, and no one stops you.
At the grocery store, there's a grocery store I was at over here,
they're not allowed to stop you.
And somebody literally had a cart full of stuff. And they just went from inside the store, loaded it up, and just literally walked out. And I saw it happen, and I'm like by the cashier, and I'm like, did that person just walk out with a cart? She's like, yeah, they're allowed to. $1,000, cops won't do anything.
There's YouTube videos.
Just do whatever they want.
If you YouTube it, you can watch people just walk into a store, they load up a cart and walk right out, and no one bothers them.
No one does a thing because it's under $1,000. It's like $1,000 and under. Nobody does anything. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. I'm like, that's not even fair.
Then they go right to eBay and they list it.
I'm over here buying my milk for $4, and this guy's stealing it for free. Not
$4? Oh, you mean like a little pint of milk? I was going to say a gallon of milk here is like $7.
Ooh,
it's brutal.
Sorry about your luck there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you say that about that law, though, because I saw like a reel or a TikTok just the other day of a guy who went into an aisle, filled up 1 or 2 like old school plastic shopping bags, and was walking out. And this it was like a crowdsourced effort. All these people who, like one worker and a bunch of shoppers, were all like ganging together, like, that guy's stealing, get him! And they were like tackling this guy, and the one worker had a death grip on the handles of the plastic bag and was ripping it, trying to get it out of his hands. And it was just like, you don't know if this guy's going to pull out a gun. Like, are you willing to like go down over a bag of groceries at the store you get paid minimum wage at? He was getting dragged across the cement by this guy trying to hold on to the bag. It was ridiculous.
My answer is no, thankies.
False.
That's why I do all of my purchasing online and have it delivered.
Correct. I ain't going anywhere.
Chris and I don't leave the house.
No.
Charles sits on his phone and orders stuff, and Brandon loves things being delivered. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of 4 Idiots Talking Toys. We had a fun conversation here about something we really hadn't considered before. Somebody brought up the idea, had a sneaking suspicion that somebody had some cheap items on eBay, and so it made a good episode, I think. Thanks very much for joining us. Please check out our Patreon. The link is right below in the description, patreon.com/5idiotstalkingtoys. If you like what we do, you can support the show there, and we have an exclusive series called 5 Idiots After Dark. Those episodes only go onto our Patreon channel for our patrons, so support us there, and you'll get to see those as well as early access to all of these videos and previews of collectibles that will go for sale on rogue5toys.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on 5 or 4 Idiots Talking Toys. Bye.
Thankies.
Thanks for editing this, John.